Good evening. He is a genuine American hero. Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, and yet since those years, he's receded into a quiet life in America. Even in our celebrity-driven era, there's no Neil Armstrong action figure, no chain of restaurants. And while he's walked on the moon, he's never been tempted to dance with the stars. But tonight, our veteran space correspondent Jay Barbrie has exclusively obtained a letter written by Neil Armstrong and several other icons of the space program. It directly challenges President Obama's reported plans to idle the U.S. manned space program. Astronauts Armstrong, Jim Lovell, and Gene Cernan write, and we quote, "Without the skill and experience that actual spacecraft operation provides, the USA is far too likely to be on a long downhill slide to mediocrity." And on this anniversary of the Apollo 13 space disaster, it's an emotional example of the kinds of choices a president and a nation must face. It's where we begin tonight with NBC's Tom Costello at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Tom, good evening.
Hi, Brian. Good evening. As you know, the shuttle program is retiring this year. Another program, Constellation, was supposed to replace the shuttle program. However, an outside review panel found that program, Constellation, was running behind schedule and had been underfunded. So the president's plan essentially kills Constellation, at least in the short term, and with potentially a lot of jobs, so that NASA instead can focus on going to Mars.
All recorders too fast, T-minus 8.
From the Mercury missions to Gemini, Apollo, and the Space Shuttle, NASA has been launching astronauts into space for nearly 50 years.
Go ahead, throttle up.
Leaving a legacy beyond moon and spacewalks. Huge advancements in computer technology, communications, and medicine. Now, some of NASA's icons are blasting President Obama's plans to abandon the next-generation Constellation rocket program, in which NASA has already invested $10 billion, and hand over manned missions to the space station to private companies. In an unprecedented statement to NBC News, Commanders Neil Armstrong, James Lovell, and Gene Cernan write that the plan destines our nation to become one of second or even third-rate stature. While in a separate letter to President Obama, more of NASA's space heroes, among them Carpenter, Hayes, and Kranz, write, "We are very concerned about America ceding its hard-earned global leadership in space technology to other nations." NASA's new chief is veteran astronaut Charles Bolden.
We have to take bold steps. We are a bold nation.
But General Bolden ran into trouble recently when he told Congress it doesn't matter if China lands on the moon before the U.S. returns.
It will sound trivial, but I don't think it matters who gets...
Well, it does to me. It does to me, and I think it matters with all respect to a lot of Americans.
With the shuttle retiring this year, NASA will pay Russia to take astronauts to the orbiting space station for years to come. Losing both the shuttle and Constellation programs means losing jobs. Depending on who you ask, anywhere from 5,000 to 9,000 jobs here in Florida are on the line, potentially tens of thousands of jobs nationwide. Many of them specialty jobs, like aerospace technician Patty Sunderland.
I'm sad. I'm angry on days, frustrated a lot.
Florida Senator Bill Nelson, a Democrat and former astronaut, says President Obama will pay a big political price in Florida if thousands of space jobs are lost. Was this a failure to communicate, or was it a failure of policy and vision?
It was a combination. It is my hope that the president understands that the only person that can really lead the nation's human space program is the president.
Late today, the White House announced, after hearing these complaints and hearing these astronauts, announced that it will, in fact, in 2015, commit to a heavy lift rocket. And that could mean 2,500 jobs by the year 2012. The president still may get a rather frosty reception when you see her on Thursday, because people here are concerned about jobs right now. Brian?
Story apparently still changing. Tom Costello at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Tom, thanks again. This letter has been provided to NBC News exclusively. We have posted it on our website tonight. That's nightly.msnbc.com.